in terms of interest rates with the budget, let's have a look. Is this really going to help us? Now, Chalmers has been very careful to say, oh look, I don't think it's my job to see if this would affect interest rates or not. But, I don't think it's going to have really any impact on interest rates myself. You can see we've had a raft of rises of interest rates in Australia, way too fast, way too many over the last little while. But thankfully, we've only had 2 rate rises since the last budget, one in June and one in November. Now, we weren't the only government that did that. Both Europe and the rest of the world did it as well. But you can see Australia is still under our 30-year average of interest rates. Now, that's interesting because a lot of people I talk to, they say, oh, interest rates are high. And I'm saying, no, they're not. They're back to normal. And you can have it go back to those super low rates if you want. It just takes another pandemic. Now, we don't want another disaster. That's not really good for us. But certainly you've got to get used to them being about where they are now. And I don't think there's any real reason to go up, any real reason to go down. But they're likely to be back here on track. And there's nothing in this budget to push it either way. But, one of the things that drives interest rate is inflation. And this budget is allegedly going to be good for inflation. But again, I'm not sure I agree with that either. I think that we've got too much demand, particularly from the government. They're spending lots, they're employing lots, and they're paying top wages, and therefore it's making the normal economy distorted. And they are competing for housing, they are competing for staff, they are competing for services. It's very, very hard for a normal business, a normal person, a normal individual to compete with a government spending pattern. So to me that worries me. And you can see inflation, ironically, is back to its good, happy place. So theoretically, if we're back in the right range of that 2 to 4%, did this budget need to be chasing inflation? Did we need to offer so much? I think everyone's glad that they did, but if we've already got there, do we need to keep going? We'll see over the next 12 months. In terms of the Australian dollar, there's nothing in this budget really that will affect the dollar either. Now, ironically, the dollar has gone basically flat over the last 12 months, but you can see has oscillated as high as 68.8 and down as low as about 62. Now, we're sitting at around about 66 now, and that's probably a normal place. I'm on the record and have been on the record for the last decade saying that I don't think the Australian dollar should be any less than 70 to 75 cents US, and I remain there. I think our economy is one of the strongest in the world. The US certainly isn't. But again, it's about demand. Who wants the Australian dollar? Apparently not too many. But now that we've got so many migrants, you might see that the demand comes along. But we're still just a very small population, a very small country. So it's very hard to sell your currency as a dominant when you've only got 27 million people and other countries are 200-300 million, 1-2 billion, etc., etc. But the dollar, I think, is about where it should be on a soft end. It's cheaper on now. It's come back up to 66. I still believe 70, 75. So it's a good time to buy Australian dollars if you're thinking about it. Send it back and invest.